this release was for the people. What's up, sneaker people? It's your boy FB Kicks and Gear, and I am back with another video. And today's legit check guide is going to feature the Jordan 4 military blue, aka industrial blue, or whatever the hell you guys want to call it. I don't care. There'll always be the military blues to me, but yeah, we have our first legit check guide. A couple of months ago, I released a video before the actual release so that we could start familiarizing ourselves with some of the reps that were out there at the moment. And now I am following that up with an actual real versus fake video. And I just gotta say, I gotta give Nike some credit for a second. They finally made enough pairs for everyone. I actually didn't even bother paying resell or retail or whatever. I did a trade on trade block for these, but now we're a couple weeks out and I'm doing my first legit check guide. So we have our authentic pair here on the left and we have our replica here on the right. And remember, just like in every video, please go to the Instagram account that you're going to see on the screen and you'll find all of the reference pictures that you need for all the different details and all that stuff so that you can familiarize yourself with what is on the market. If you are not doing the research, if you are not studying, you are not going to be able to legit check good from bad. So with that said, let's get into the video and we'll briefly talk about the boxes before talking about the actual shoes. Just like in the majority of the Jordan 4 real versus fakes that I do, the differences always come down to two things: the color of the infrared, if you want to call it, on the Nike Air and the Jordan logo on the top. You can see the authentic pair on the left is definitely a lot less intense than the rep on the right. You can see that it's lighter and it's darker on the rep. And then you can see when it comes to the actual box, the cement print is lighter on the rep and darker on the authentic pair. I don't know how they can get so close and still not match these colors, but it is what it is. It's really easy these days to be able to use the box as a legit checking tool. So I hope that you guys are doing that, even though I get some of y'all in my comments saying that I spend too much time talking about the fucking boxes. So whatever, guys, if you don't care about the box, skip. But for the people that do care, here's your legit checking indicator right now. You can pull any Jordan 4 out of your closet, plop it next to the pair in question. You'll be able to legit check based on the box alone. And the last little tip that I like to point out, always go to the smallest text on the label, which in this case is the made in China. Compare to the pair in question. For me, it's this rep right here. The smallest text on the box label will always be off compared to an authentic pair. So when you put them side by side, you'll see that the rep more than likely will be much bolder on that small text compared to the authentic. And that's definitely the case here too. So just a quick tip when it comes to legit checking and using the boxes and the labels and the accessories. But with that said, let's get the boxes out of the way. So here we have the military blues side by side. Again, left authentic, right rep. And if you ask me, the reps actually did a really scary good job on their own of mimicking the authentic pair, but there are definitely some things that I can hone in on when I put them side by side, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. And the easiest way to really notify yourself of differences is to get the authentic pair of fours next to the rep pair of fours like this, and then you'll be able to do a more direct comparison side by side. And this for me is always the money shot because there's so much going on Jordan 4s that this is honestly the only real way to do it. And I can see immediately that there are definitely some things that are a little bit off about the rep that are different than on the authentic pair. The first thing being the blues on the reps are a little bit darker when compared to the authentic pair, and definitely a lot smoother than on the authentic pair. One of the things that Jordan Brand does for whatever reason is they go back and forth between like an applied airbrush type of paint when it comes to the Jordan 4 soles, and then usually when they're trying to go back to OG roots, they'll do a paintbrush stroke technique where you can actually see the paintbrush strokes on them. Now, The authentic pair has bold, rough paint strokes. Hopefully you guys can see that. And the rep pair is like smooth as day. There are very, very faint strokes there, but definitely not to the extent of the authentic pair for sure. So the colors are slightly different. This is definitely leaning more towards the navy side than the military blue, but close. I wouldn't be able to tell you that they were different if I wasn't looking at them side by side. Probably the easiest way to tell is right there. The next thing that I'm seeing different in that side by side is the color of the whites here on the painted midsole. It's definitely creamier on the rep, and it's a lot brighter of a white on the authentic. It looks like the rep is just like less paint on it than the authentic pair. That makes sense. And it just comes out looking a lot warmer and less defined than on the authentic. Almost like they skipped out on paint altogether when it comes to that white midsole part. The white rubbers seem to be pretty good. Maybe slight tonal differences between the two. When you put them side by side, you can definitely see more of the navy difference here between the authentic and the rep. The grays seem to be a little bit different as well. Darker, colder on the rep, and lighter and warmer on the authentic pair. Moving to the back, slight differences as well. I really can't put my finger on it. There's something about the finish of the rep that just makes the shapes and everything look a little bit less defined and crisp than on the authentic pair. Look at the waffle squares and you'll see what I mean. It's just something that lacks definition about the rep that is present on the authentic pair, but they still look very, very close. I don't think I would be able to tell you which is which if I didn't have them side by side like this. Color wise, they do look pretty good. Very, very slight color difference. You know what? It feels like this is less dense than the authentic. Maybe it almost like there's like a slight transparency to this. Very, very, very slight. That is not on the authentic pair. So other than that though, shape wise, they look pretty good. Nike Air spacing looks pretty good. They're really, really getting closer and closer to making these look better. So that's definitely a bit scary. One thing that I can see is that there's definitely a tone difference between the nubuck on the authentic pair versus the rep. For sure. It's darker, colder on the rep, and it's lighter and warmer on the authentic pair. Same thing goes for the gray of the leather as well. It's just slightly, maybe a little bit darker on the rep than it is on the authentic pair. That same kind of color difference translates to the wings tab as well. You can see it's a bit darker and more gray on the rep, and it's a little bit lighter and whiter on the authentic pair. Surprisingly, the tabs themselves look extremely close. This is something that I've seen Force struggle with for ages, just getting those wings tab colors to match, but they did a pretty good job there. So far, the name of the game has definitely been just color matching. The reps have been struggling to just match the colors one for one. They look close. Don't get me wrong, they look close, especially when you just look at these by themselves, but definitely some color differences that I'm noticing for sure. And it's tough because there's a ton of different contrasting colors here. You've got your grays, you've got your whites, you've got your blues, and your different materials will show those colors differently. So it's definitely tough to do that comparison. But outside of that, I'm seeing maybe a more bulkier cut to the rep than the authentic. If you look at this shape here, this cut, this angle where the ankle is, you can see it's definitely more extended here on the rep, and then on the authentic pair kind of tucks down more, and its incline is definitely more drastic, which tells me that this is probably a bulkier shoe overall, and I kind of get that vibe. They're finally getting the spacing here correct on this new style of fours for the reps. You want to see anywhere between 6 and 8 squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 when it comes to this, and in the past with the older shape you'd want to see at max 4, and here you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A little bit on the shorter side, but this is very, very good. They're even mimicking the factory lacing in a way that they didn't before. Pull out the tongues and you look at the tongue tags, and they look virtually identical to me. They've got that nice shiny sheen on them. That's what you want to see on Authentics. It's a little bit shinier on the Authentic than it is on the Rep, but they are definitely trying. So you got to be careful of that. When it comes to the insides, they even color match the inside of the sock liner. Maybe a little bit lighter on the Rep than on the Authentic, but this is definitely probably one of the closest fours that I've seen. And the one thing that Reps do struggle with, though, is just color matching, and that just seems to be the case here as well. So there's not really much I want to go into outside of that. The materials are definitely the same materials or similar kind of materials. The Rep has a slight sheen to it when it comes to that gray leather that the Authentic pair doesn't. So maybe they're using a slightly different type of coating on the Rep, but they're definitely the same type of leather for sure. You're not going to be able to tell that it's a Rep based on how it wears on foot. Usually there's a lot more differences when it comes to Jordan 4s, and you guys have seen the 4s that I've reviewed up until this point, but I'm very, very impressed. I think the blacklight test is the only thing that's really going to be able to tell us what's what. So let's get into the blacklight test and then we'll go from there. So pulling out the blacklight, let's see what we can find that lights up. We're getting some loose thread here, maybe some glue. Yeah, it's more thread and glue. I'm not seeing anything really react to the light. The underlayment of the leather is definitely lighting up. So that's one thing. None of the netting. That air bubble is lighting up. Nothing on the sole. I guess maybe some slight reaction out of that Nike Air. Very slight, nothing too crazy. And then we like to see, usually the Air Jordan tag on the tongue tends to light up as well. But other than that, we got nothing really crazy going on. This is a dead shoe in terms of black light. So let's see what lights up on the Rep. So we got the underlayment. We like to see that. We know that it happens on the Authentic pairs. Nothing on the tongue tag. We do have that stitch on the toe. I don't recall if that lights up on the Authentic pair, so let's find out. It does not light up on the Authentic pair. So that is a huge tell from the blacklight perspective, going from the Authentic here on the left to the Rep on the right. So we do have a sign. Let's continue along the shoe to see if there's anything else that we see. Air bubble lights up. That happens on the Authentic pair. Is it me, or do the laces react a little bit more on the Rep than on the Authentic? No, it's about the same. Wow, that Air Jordan tag is super bright and vibrant. I think maybe even a little bit more than on the Authentic. Oh yeah, for sure. A lot more than on the Authentic. So look at it light up, how bright it lights up on the Rep. And compared to the Authentic pair, barely anything. So those are your two biggest signs right there. So there you go. There you have it. You've got a huge tell here on the back of the tongue. Major reaction in a way that the Authentic doesn't, but the real highlight here is that toe stitch that lights up very brightly. That is not on the Authentic pair, and that is a very good legit check indicator. So there you have it, guys. That's a blacklight test. We did find something that would help us identify them, but one of the things that I'm struggling with right now is that the lighting in my studio right now isn't the best, and I'm going to include a picture in natural light of the Authentic and the Rep side by side, so maybe you guys can see a little bit better in terms of colors. But one of the things that I feel like I'm seeing here in the studio lighting that I really can't confirm without it being natural light is I think that there is a difference in color between the white part of the midsole, or the outsole I should say, of the Authentic and the Rep. It feels like the Authentic pair is a little bit more cream. It's got like a warm tint to it, while the rep is just bright white. It's really hard to see in this studio light. Hopefully it comes through on the camera, but if it doesn't, I'm gonna take a picture and I'm gonna impose it on the screen so that you guys can see what they would look like side by side with a little bit more natural light. So but that's something that I think I'm seeing, but I honestly can't really tell with all these bright lights surrounding me. So but with that said, guys, that's the first legit check guide. Let me know if you guys have any specific batches of these that you want me to review some more. There are definitely some signs between the box and between some of the black light testing and some of the color differences that if you have an authentic pair that you can reference, you will definitely be able to legit check. So with that said, guys, remember, you can find all of the pictures of these that you need on the Instagram account that's going to pop up on the screen. Please, 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 please do your research, guys. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.